if this doesn't work, I'm lighting this truck on fire. Hey, what's up? So I don't know if this is going to make it into an entire video or if this is just going to be a little component of a bigger video. Hopefully this isn't going to be super involved, but I'm going to attempt to fix the anti-lock brake light that is on my dash. I've got one that's on all the time that's yellow, and then a red one comes on probably every other time I drive it. I'll go over a bump and it'll turn red and stay on. I've never noticed the brake's not working, anti-lock or otherwise, but something's wrong. I've read that it's sometimes a problem with poor solder connections, and I happen to know a guy who works with electronics. So I'm gonna show you what I've done so far. All I've done is just take out the screws to take it out, and it came out really easy. So we won't know till I get inside how easily it comes apart, but might as well show you how I got this far. All right, so this is the brake module. There are 4 T20 screws right here, 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 and here. I took it out with an impact driver with the T20 bit. I tried turning them before with just like a little Allen wrench shaped torque driver, and they were not budging, and I was worried I was going to snap something. I tried it with the impact driver and just barely touched the trigger, and each one zipped out with no problem. So if you have access to an impact driver, I would give that a shot. And then I just kind of came in here and kind of popped it loose, pull it up. There's the solenoids. And I had to unhook 3 cables. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's how we got here. I'm gonna go inside and see what kind of trouble I can get into. Okay, now we're back in the house. I just removed T8 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then inside of here is 5, 6. And that's what they look like. Little tiny T8s. So now what I'm going to do is go around the edge with the screwdriver and just try to pry these 2 halves apart. It's really stuck, and I mean it's been underneath a hot hood of a car for 26 years now. Try a pocket knife getting into the corners. Hope I don't have to use this video to show the doctor how I embedded a knife in my hand. That's actually helping a lot. I can hear lots of little clicks and pops as the gasket lets loose. So I think the pocket knife is the tool. My God, this is exhausting. All right. So we have some cooling pads, obviously. So when this gets reassembled, I will put new heatsink compound on those. I think I caught the corner of this circuit board with the screwdriver. Shouldn't be a problem. All right, I'm gonna zoom in on some of these connectors here with photos. So I'm gonna take the camera down and cut away, and I'll put in some pictures that I take. So judging from the photos I just took, none of those solder joints are obviously bad, but I want to be completely thorough here. So what I'm going to do is pull this board off, which it looks like I have to desolder the solenoids to do that, and the connectors. There's quite a bit of desoldering to do. So I'm just going to put you on time lapse and start going to town with the soldering iron. Okay, I have freed the ABS brain. So there's not much to this. We have a relay, a brain. Looks like some, if I had to guess, I'd say those are probably MOSFETs to switch the solenoids on and off. In my experience, automotive electronics are pointless to look up because all the chips are going to be weird numbers that don't cross to anything. So the only thing I'd be really worried about, electrolytic capacitors aren't great for time or extreme conditions, but these still look good. The tops haven't blown off, so I'm inclined to just let them roll. Relays can get crappy over time as the contacts get dirty. That is probably an off-the-shelf relay if I had to replace it. I might try to test it real quick. Here are the solenoids. I laid them out in the order I removed them. I'll just check the impedance of each one and just make sure they're all the same. You know, if one of them shows open or shorted, that would be bad. Well, I'm gonna go find my meter and start testing a few things. I'm gonna run through these solenoids real quick. So we've got about five. There we go, 5. Okay, those are about half. Yep. Okay, well that kind of makes sense. I don't know if you can tell from that angle, but these have black plastic in the middle, these have white plastic in the middle. So I was guessing that they might be different. So these are 5 ohms, these are 2.5 ohms. I'm assuming, I'm gonna say those are good. Okay, that must be the coil. That's the closed way. That's the open way. So I need to put 12 volts across here, which should connect these 2 pins. Let's see if I have something I can get 12 volts from easily here. Well, here's 9 volts. Let's see if I can hear the relay click. All right, hopefully sending 9 volts the wrong way through this relay isn't gonna hurt anything. Relay clicks. There's no way I can hold all this. That was a lot of work. All right, relay's good. There's not much else I can really test, so I'm gonna touch up everything I can. All right, so as you can tell, it's getting dark out. I just put this thing back together and slapped it back in the car with some new heatsink compound. I didn't see anything wrong. The testing I did, nothing tested wrong, but I did resolder everything I could. I was gonna resolder the brain chip, but the way it was mounted to the circuit board, it was really hard to get to soldering it by hand. But I did check every pin to its trace and all of them were connected. I'm gonna flip you around and you can see the dash as I start this up for the first time. So usually the light isn't on until I start moving. So I'll back up a little and go forward to see if the yellow ABS light comes back on. All right, rolling forward. Well, I didn't go that far, but it didn't turn back on. I'm gonna shut the hood and we'll just go for a ride down the driveway. All right, I also put my seatbelt on, so it turns that light off. Service 4-wheel drive is still on. I haven't figured out why yet. I still need to scan it with a better tool than I have to tell me what's wrong, because every part of that system is new. So I don't know. Right now though, I want to check the ABS. So we'll see if a second light comes on. Usually it would turn on by the time I get to the main road. That's the main road. It did not turn back on. I think I fixed it. I will check back in with you in the next video and let you know if that fixed it. And if I can just figure out this 4-wheel drive light, I'll be back to no more dash lights. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, what's up? So it's been only a few days since that last clip you just saw. If you're wondering, the ABS light never came back on, the yellow one or the red one. So I think I got that fixed. You might be wondering why I'm sitting inside instead of working on something right now. Well, that's because it's super cold out. We had a bunch of freezing rain yesterday, and my Blazer left me stranded for the first time this year. It's Thursday, I'm supposed to be at work, but I stayed home today because I couldn't get there. So I got in my car to leave for work yesterday morning, and when I started it, it made kind of a bit of an awful sound, like it was grinding on the flywheel. Then I came home for lunch, and it sounded a little bit worse. I started it up to go back to work after lunch, and it was, like, really bad. So when it was time to leave work, I work with my brother. I had him hang out a minute to make sure it was actually going to start so I could get home. So I went out to my car after work, and it started, but this is what it sounded like. So yeah, I think I've decided it's probably the starter. I assume the solenoid isn't engaging all the way onto the flywheel and it's grinding, but I never replaced the starter. I noticed when I bought it that they had the wrong bolts in there with a big stack of washers, and I kind of wondered, like, is everything okay with that starter? But I just ordered a new one. It'll be here, I think, tomorrow, so I'll be putting that on. Real excited. It's going to be like 35 degrees, so above freezing, but barely. So this next clip, I will be outside in the cold under the truck again. All right, I got my starter. Just trying to figure out where all my tools are so I can get going on this. I'm hoping I can have this knocked out in just a matter of minutes. Should just be one wire and 2 bolts, right? Famous last words. I'm all bundled up, got on several layers, and then my stylish onesie. With any luck, I won't even need to jack up the car because it's an off-road redneck car. Not quite so lucky with the Abarth, that's for sure. I can't even get the jack under it, much less me. All right, here we go. So there it is, and I mentioned the stack of washers. I assume that's because the starter bolts for small block Chevys, easy to get, readily available, and they're not for this. And I imagine they're just a little bit longer. Probably explains this, since the people that did the work on this before were the type to just throw bolts in a bucket and dig them out later. Probably lost them. I'm totally speculating. But anyway, so I'm gonna pull those out. Okay, I got the other one out. It took me a little longer than I thought because the bolts were 2 different sized heads, and then I couldn't use the same ratchet for the power terminal because it had to be deep well because of the long stud, and then I had to use a 3rd wrench to get the small wire off. So I had 4 bolts and I needed to use 4 different wrenches. Of course, every time crawling out from underneath the car. There we go. I think you can tell which the new one is. These teeth look a little chewed up. It looks like they have been grinding a little. Anyway, I'm gonna try to slap this new one in, but first, I'm gonna look through the box of bolts I got with the Blazer and see if I can find something better than this. Those appear to be the same length, but then had different amounts of washers and different sized heads. So I'm gonna dig around and see what I can come up with. Well, I did some digging, and at least I found a matching bolt. It sucks because I found this, and I thought, oh my god, that's perfect. I found 2 of them even. But then I test fitted it, and there's only about 3 threads. If that was threaded all the way to the end, it'd be perfect, but I don't feel comfortable with that going into whatever condition the threads are. So we're going back to this ugliness, but at least they're the same size bolt heads, so I don't need 4 different sockets to put this in. All right, the starter's in. I'm gonna hook the battery back up and try it. If this doesn't work, I'm lighting this truck on fire. Thankfully, that sounded awesome. I'm gonna try start it a few more times. All right, I'm back in the house now. I wasn't gonna stand out there and do an outro. It's freezing. It still hasn't gotten up to 32 yet. So yeah, that went in pretty well. I really don't like the bolt situation, so I'm gonna order some bolts and throw them in when it warms up. But yeah, I'm impressed how quickly that just like kicked right in and worked. I'm glad my guess that it was a starter was correct. So there's like another $100 to the grand total of what I've wasted on this dumb thing. So I guess that's it for this video. Hopefully there won't be another one, at least until spring. All right, catch you later.